Hey there, I recently finished playing Death Stranding. I know I'm a little bit late to it, but I just love the game and wanted to give my thoughts on it, talk about it for a little bit. So yeah, let's get into it. The story of Death Stranding is the best part of this game. It's what's most unique about it. What keeps you coming back and playing more. It just throws all these questions at you about the events that led to the chaos in this world, and it makes you hungry for answers. It starts with Sam, a man who lost his wife and unborn child to suicide. This event caused a void out, and it killed a lot of people. Since then, he has closed himself off and he refuses to make connections, but his life takes a turn when he's called to make an important delivery to the president of the UCA, United Cities of America, Bridget Strand. She is losing her battle with cancer, and her dying wish is for Sam to help his sister, Emily, reconnect with America, after Emily was kidnapped by terrorists. Bridget is Sam's mother. She's, in my opinion, a selfish, manipulative, and compassionless woman who has ruined a countless amount of families with her BB technology. I don't think I have anything nice to say about her. Throughout the game, we discover that Emily doesn't actually exist. She's part of Bridget, kind of like half of Bridget's soul per se, that resides just in the beach. Except she's not in a beach. She is the beach. And a bitch, to be honest. And Emily hasn't been kidnapped at all. She is actually the extinction entity and has actually been working with Higgs and the terrorists to cause the end of the world. The only reason she wanted Sam to connect all of America was just so she could exterminate everyone faster. That's basically the summarized main story. There's more to it, but we'll talk about it later on. Emily is just someone I couldn't bring myself to care about, and while the game makes you feel like you're supposed to sympathize with her at the end, because she has such a weight on her shoulders with being the extinction entity, you know? She could just bring an end to the human race. It is inevitable. It will happen sooner or later, no matter if Sam was able to stall it for a little bit. But just the way she used both Sam and Higgs, I just couldn't care for her, really. There was actually this moment at the end of the game where you're given the option to shoot her, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hesitate, okay? I just started blasting. It actually made me a little mad that the only way to progress was actually by hugging her. I just didn't want to do it.
The name's Higgs, the particle of God that permeates all existence.
Higgs is someone with dooms. Dooms is basically your ability to see BTs or sense them. For example, Sam can only sense them, Fragile can see them. Anyway, Higgs used to work with Fragile Express. He was a porter until he met Emily, who granted him more abilities, like summoning the Timefall, BTs, the tar, which is the black fluid we see throughout the game. Higgs was, without a doubt, one of the best characters in the game. I think Troy Baker did an amazing job with the acting. Every time he was on screen, it was just so damn cool. You knew he was about to put on a show. It was some of the best moments in the game were with him. In the world of Death Stranding, there's this event called the Timefall. It's basically rain that makes time go by faster. And what I mean faster is like much, much faster. Whatever it touches, it ages, sort of. If it touches the ground, it makes plants grow and die in a second. It makes objects rust and get ruined faster, like the deliveries you're making, the packages you're carrying, the roads, things you build around the map. And if it touches people, it makes them age a lot. Fragile is actually a victim of this timefall.
My name is Fragile.
Fragile, who is the owner of Fragile Express. Shocker. She has been screwed over by Higgs after he met Emily. Higgs basically forced her to go out into the Timefall, so she's all like aged up and wrinkly from the neck down. To be honest, like, it was either go in the rain and save a city or let Higgs nuke it, basically, so her options weren't very good. Fragile is actually one of the characters to break Sam's cold and distant demeanor. At one point in the game, they actually feel like really good friends, like later on. That's until Sam just says psych and just throws it all away. Like it never mattered. That kind of got me a little bit. But Sam was just okay, in my opinion. Like, there's these actors in games sometimes, or even movies, where they just feel like the actors. They don't feel like their own characters. And that's Sam, basically. He's just Norman Reedus. Even though he's the one we spend most of the game with, he's the only playable character, is the main character. He's not very memorable or impactful, really. But Sam's connection with BB is very wholesome, though, and I love BB. The connection we had with her, how BB felt like sort of the heart of the game. And it's not just because of how useful BB was against BTs, but it felt like our little companion. You know, it was always there with us. It would laugh if Sam stumbled. It would clap as we go on little zip lines. We get too stressed and cry, which some people find annoying, but I don't know, it was alright. I didn't mind it. I thought it was, you know, just form a deeper connection with BB. And there's these springs in the game where you can go to restore stamina, and when you're there chilling, BB will just start swimming around, and it's the cutest thing. There's also this moment towards the very end of the game where you're fighting Higgs, and BB actually uses the Odra deck to protect you when Higgs shoots at you. BB actually tanks some bullets for you. You know, a real one, a real friend. And contrary to what Sam says, he actually did make some friends along the way. Like Deadman, who was basically like Frankenstein's monster. He was kind of like created out of random body parts. It doesn't have a soul, and that's like the main part of the character. It doesn't quite understand what you see in BB and how you care for BB, because Deadman only sees bridge babies as a tool, and throughout the game you see that change. You see Deadman actually care for BB, and you know, you bond over it. It protects BB almost as much as you, really. There's also Mama, whose name is Mama because she is the mama to a BT baby, a baby that is also Lochna's baby. Lochna, who is her twin sister, and they both refer to the baby as their baby. They do that a lot. It was a little weird. It's odd. It's not as odd as they make it sound, though. Like, basically Mama couldn't have babies, but could like carry babies to term, while Lochna can have babies. You know, she has healthy eggs, I guess, but she can't exactly carry them to term, so they just get Lochna's boyfriend's swimmers and Lochna's eggs. And I mean, you guys know the whole process. Science, am I right? Just amazing stuff out here. It's confusing, I understand that, but it's a different story, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a little weird, it was a little goofy sometimes, but I enjoyed it. Not the best part of the story, though. That's not the best part, you know? Because while the whole Death Stranding and its cause are the main part of it, you know, it's what keeps you moving, what keeps you connecting places, there's something else going on with Sam and BB. It's basically every time you connect yourself to BB, you see these memories of a man, which leads me to my favorite character in the whole game, Clifford Unger. He's the man you see in these memories. His wife just had a baby, but she's now brain dead. And Clifford's child is a BB. And unbeknownst to him, the facility where his family is being held at are just conducting experiments. They're creating and perfecting the BB technology, if I'm correct. And there's a lot of memories being shown to you. You get more as you progress. For the most part, you don't know what to think of the character. You do feel bad for the situation Clifford is in, but at the same time, he feels a bit unhinged and dangerous even. As much so as when you progress through the game and reach episode 4, you're actually transported, I suppose, to Clifford's beach. You go on a little adventure there, where it seems like Clifford wants to take BB away. Obviously, Sam, you can't let that happen. You gotta protect BB at all costs. So it takes this villain role for the best part of the game. Only for you to, in the end, realize his true story. The fact that the baby you are carrying is not actually Clifford's child. Sam is. I know, right? We find out that Bridget Strand, Sam's mother, killed Clifford and Sam, which sent Sam to the beach, where Emily repatriated him, and, you know, the whole Sam-Emily connection started. Then the Death Stranding got worse because of it. Yeah, it's all connected, okay? Anyway, Clifford, after dying, he just became a bit confused. He just wanted his BB. In the end, he was just a man who lost everyone he cared for, everyone he cared about, and he was just trying to make sure his son was okay. You see at the end, Clifford saw Emily pick up Sam, repatriate him, so he knows his son is out there. Clifford was just a beautifully written character. It's the best story arc of the game. What a plot twist. Gotta reel it in though, or I'm just gonna be talking about this for hours. It was good. And while the story was great, the delivery of it was awkward at times. And I'm not exactly talking about the voice acting, because for the most part it was good. But I'm talking about the pacing of it. Because right when you start the game, you're thrown into like 2 hours of cutscenes, which is a bit overwhelming. It's a lot to digest. You get like 5 minutes of gameplay throughout. So you barely get a taste of what the game is like. The same thing happens at the end when all the answers you've been longing for are given to you, but it's given to you in like 3 hours of cutscenes. Basically stuck on the beach, running around, and you just have to run, and then he'll just say game made by Kojima, and then he'll give you a piece of information. Then you run again. It's like, oh, directed by Kojima. You're like, okay. Then it makes you run again, and then, oh, now it was produced by Kojima. You're like, okay. Like, damn, I get it. He made the game good, but like, can we get on with the show? Also, something I didn't like much was how the game just stops you at times to give you a piece of information. It's either about like a new item you just found that can now craft, or for example, at the end of the game, Deadman just brings you up to give you something, tell you something about the story, and the game literally freezes you. You can't move or drive around and listen. They force you to just focus on it, and it's a bit annoying, and at times, especially with the Deadman example, it can be immersion breaking. And personally, being immersed into the story and the characters, it's what makes a game special to me. There's also this moment where Sam takes a shower and you see this Walking Dead ad on the shower wall. It has like Norman Reedus' name on it and his face. Yeah, it was, I couldn't find the moment on my VODs, but it's there. It's out there somewhere. That was not good. I mean, there's the Monster energy drink ad, but I'm okay with that. You know, it's a drink that gives you stamina. Whatever. I don't care. But that Walking Dead ad, I really didn't like it. I really didn't. Also, the writing is a bit repetitive sometimes and goofy. You see this with Fragile, especially, whose name is Fragile, but she's not that fragile. There's also another good one, because you hear all these rumors about her, how she worked with Higgs, that is a terrorist, you gotta be careful, and she tells you that everything you've heard about her is true, except for all the lies. Well, yeah, no fucking shit. It's just a little silly. Those moments, they were supposed to be serious, but I couldn't help but laugh, alright? It's just a little silly. But, you know, I mean, just because I have some critiques of it, doesn't mean I didn't love the game. Okay, I love the story of it. The gameplay, though, you know, while the story shines very bright, the gameplay is sometimes a bit dull. And I don't necessarily agree on the take that Death Stranding is a walking simulator. I think that that is good. That is the best part about the gameplay, is just walking around and reaching new areas, There's some really rough parts in the snowy mountains where you're struggling to go through it. There's like these snowstorms. It's very hard to see. But then you get there and it's just, oh, dude, I made it. It's a little feeling of accomplishment. I really like that. But just walking around with packages, it's okay. Now, if you're stacking things up too high, you have to balance Sam with the triggers, or in my case, the mouse buttons. Just console game stuff, I guess. The terrain is pretty rough. You know, it has a lot of rocks and different heights. You have to climb a lot. The ladders can be a little clunky. You basically just have to keep paying attention to your character. Like, oh, Sam is swaying a little bit. Gotta keep my balance. Let me hold my mouse buttons down. It's, you know, it's sort of relaxing, enjoying scenery. But yeah, the whole gameplay thing of the balance mechanic wasn't very exciting. You do get a bike pretty early in the game, which should make things easier, but the bike physics are very bad. They're not good. Especially with the rough terrain I mentioned, it becomes very frustrating moving around with it. You get stuck on everything and you bounce off of rocks. Yeah. The trucks that you get a little later on somehow feel more agile than the bikes. Which sounds silly, but it's the truth. You do build roads in the central area of the game. It makes driving around with the vehicles much easier. There's not that frustration of getting stuck on things. You do have to repair the roads, but I was playing on normal difficulty, so things didn't get ruined as much. You also get zip lines, which makes traversing places much easier. Especially in the mountains where you can't build the roads. I played on the standard version of the game. In the director's cut, I do believe you have the ability to make a road through the mountains. Anyway, yeah, ziplines are really good. They help you not struggle as much with the clunkiness of it. Now on to the combat. The combat is, it's there. I suppose now you have this little rope you can grab enemies with. There's also some weapons. You get the bowler gun, the handgun, the assault rifle, you get a shotgun, grenades, a grenade launcher, and a rocket launcher. I think that's kind of it. And while the later weapons that you unlock, they're better for fighting BTs, but they're not exactly exciting to use. I was never really hyped about them much. And I felt like, oh wow, this shotgun, I really can't wait to use it. It's so cool. Because the weapon mechanics were just pretty much the same for every single weapon. Yeah, the combat was definitely the worst part of the game. Definitely worse than the balancing mechanic. Now, like, talking about the fighting, the BTs were actually much scarier at the very beginning of the game when you couldn't really fight back. You just had to sneak by them and hope to not get caught. Because as soon as you're able to defend yourself and fight back, like, as soon as I fought my first BT, I was like, oh, okay, I can do it. It's okay. You know, it's fine. It's a little frightening at first, but we got this. And the BT encounters, especially like after you get the umbilical cord cutter from Mama, because then you can just sneak really close to them by holding your breath, and you can cut their cord, and they're just gone. They're not gonna bother you anymore, at least for a little bit, because they keep spawning back. They were still very scary though. No matter what, I would avoid going into a BT era. It always made me feel very uneasy. I actually wish they had gone a bit more into the horror side of it. I think it would have been much better than just being able to straight up fight them. Now talking about fighting, like, again, there's like mules and terrorists, but they're pretty like optional. You don't have to fight them really, but you are forced to fight in these episodes involving Clifford's story. You're put into these battlefields, and the goal is to basically find Clifford and his soldiers and eliminate them so you can free yourself from his beach. And even though I love Clifford's story, these battles were the worst episodes of the game. You're just forced into the combat that is not very good. They did go by fast though. It feels like the devs were aware that it was definitely not the game's strong part. These episodes only last like 20 to 30 minutes, so pretty easy to get through. I just hope that Stranding 2 has even less shooting in it. If it doesn't, you know, if it's a bigger part of the game even, I hope they invest a bit more time into making it a better experience. Even though there's some big cons about Death Stranding, there's also a lot of pros, okay? The game has gorgeous graphics, and it ran very, very well on my PC with an insanely smooth performance. I think I only experienced a couple frame drops throughout the 100 hours I played. The story is great, the characters are good for the most part. You're connecting all these preppers, like an elder who needs medication and is only alive because of you. There's also a family who's about to have a baby, but there's complications, so they need your help to deliver a machine. Or just simply an artist or a collector that just wants some old PlayStations back. There's also these NPC porters that are just delivery men like you, just doing their jobs in this harsh landscape. You can actually greet them and trade supplies with them, which is very fun to do. Just like yell at them. And if you play Death Stranding online, you can see signs made by other players, like if there's BTs in the area, or if there's a mountain or cliff, just people helping each other. You can use cars they've left behind, ladders, climbing anchors, zip lines, benefit from structures that someone else have built, or they even left materials behind for you or weapons that you can collect. I, for example, built a lot of roads, so every time I launched the game, there would just be messages like, oh, this player used the road you built, they have liked your sign. And it felt pretty awesome to know that you've made someone else, another player's experience a little easier, or just a little more fun. There's also these beautiful moments in Death Stranding where you're making a delivery, you're exploring new areas, and you know, it's tough out there for Sam. Then the music starts playing and these incredible views show up in front of you. It just fills you with hope about this dying world. You're just walking around, taking it all in. And again, it should sound like the most tedious part of the game, but it's quite the opposite. I mean, it's the game that made me want to go and get all achievements in. That's very rare for me. I just didn't want Death Stranding to end. I wanted more of it. In the end, I'm just really glad I got to play Death Stranding. I'm glad I got to experience it. It's definitely a very unique game. I can't wait for the second one. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.